Good morning and welcome to the Moneywise show every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We welcome all calls today at 651-275-1220, or you can dial in toll free at 877-646-1220. My name's Troy Friesman, and I'm with Moneywise. I'm here today with my business partner, Jerry Boyd, and we're going to take you through a number of things that we have become professionals and worked a lot with, dealing with equity management, but primarily what we want to talk about today and through continuing in our show is the reverse mortgage program, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about. And just to get started, Jerry, we've worked with in the reverse mortgage area for a number of years now, and we've met with a lot of clients. We've had a lot of experiences, and why don't we sort of tell the audience here a little bit what is a reverse mortgage?
Well, Troy, reverse mortgages is a pretty interesting financial tool that there's been many seniors that have discovered in the last few years, and it's pretty new, really, in the financial planning industry. But it works very well for a couple of different kinds of situations. Typically, most people think that the reverse mortgage is used in a last ditch effort, but really, let me just cover a little bit about what a reverse mortgage is. It really is, it gives you the ability to turn your equity into a paycheck. And the nice thing is it is a government-insured product, so that it's brings all the guarantees along with it. It gives you the ability to live in your house, live your days out in your house, and but yet you can use some of the equity out of your home and enjoy that. Typically, what we find is that people find out that they're living a little longer than what they kind of thought they were, and in some cases they're running a little low on finances. But in some cases, they're just looking for a way to be able to blend their resources and make it last a little bit longer than what they thought it would, or what they thought they might need. So if that kind of gives you an idea, Troy?
Yeah, that's sort of what I was looking for. I mean, the interesting thing, I think most people have probably heard about the reverse mortgage, something maybe positive, something negative, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. And that's one of the things that we want to cover and hope to share with people, is to sort of discredit some of the misconceptions. A lot of people talk to Jerry, and you can speak on this too. When I visit with clients a lot of times, or prospects, one of the biggest things, or one of the first things I hear a lot of times is that they're worried that they're going to lose their house.
Okay, well, and understandably so. And in today's world, there's a lot of stuff going on out there where people have put themselves in some unfortunate situations, and they can lose their house in a conventional situation where there's payments and so on. But the nice thing in a reverse mortgage is you never have to be concerned about losing your house, simply because you never have to make any payments. And it gives you the ability to, Troy, the best way I can explain how it works, and just to kind of give you an idea so you understand how you can't lose your house, is that a reverse mortgage is really just like putting a spigot or a water tap. We talk about being able to get water out of a spigot on the side of your house. Well, a reverse mortgage really is just a spigot on, so to speak, on the side of your house, and gives you the ability to turn the tap on, get cash out whenever you want. And as far as you losing your house, the government guarantees you can never lose your house. So that's the nice thing about that.
So basically, what you're saying is that if I use all the equity in my house, well, then what? I mean, you're telling me that the government's going to take care of that, or how does that work?
Well, the best way I can explain that is that the government is going to has a program in place, an insurance in place that guarantees that if you ever get to the point where you owe more money on your home than what it's worth, okay, they're going to pick up the difference. So just to give you an example, if you have used all the equity out of your house, and you've lived for 25 years in your house, and you owe more on your house than what it's worth, FHA is going to pick up the difference. So if you owe $150,000 on a $120,000 house, they're going to pick up the difference between the $120,000 and the $150,000.
Well, one way I like to look at that too, that's a great way you put that, Jerry, is, let's say, for instance, when you pass away or when you move out of the house, and that's when a reverse mortgage, that's the only time that it becomes due, is when you pass away or you permanently sell your house, because there's no monthly payments throughout. You get to the end and your house, let's say your house is worth $200,000, but you've used all the equity over that time and you actually owe $250,000. Well, there's a $50,000 difference that FHA is going to pay. And sometimes I look at it, it's sort of a way to get some of those taxes that I've paid in all my life back from the government, because that's a benefit there. But what are some other, we talk about the upsides quite a bit, but sometimes I get a lot of questions about the downsides, because that's what people hear, and that seems to be what they dwell on. So let's talk just real briefly. What's one of the biggest things that you hear when people say, I'm not doing it I'm not interested in finding out more information for this reason? What's the top one you think?
Well, the biggest reason that I find, Troy, is a cost. Most people, when they look at something, they always are looking to see what the bottom line is. And the reverse mortgage, I'm not here to convince anybody. They are expensive. But as Troy always says, compared to what? Giving you the ability to tap into some of the equity in your home is worth a lot more than a few $1,000s to get the reverse mortgage set up. But let me just cover one thing, Troy. I always like to talk a little bit about the cost and why it's as high as it is. We talked about the guarantees a little bit. Number one, you can never get kicked out of your house. Number two is that you can never owe more on your house than what it's worth. Let's face it, Troy, warranties or guarantees, they don't come free. And over 1/3 of the cost of doing a reverse mortgage is the mortgage insurance. And the nice thing is that it gives you the protection. The downside of it is it costs some money. But if we really look at the upsides and the downsides, the cost of doing a reverse mortgage is the biggest downside that I hear from everybody.
Well, one of the things about the mortgage insurance premium, and that's the federal government requires us to charge it. That's nothing that we get, and that's the thing with the reverse mortgage. At most places you go, the cost and everything's going to be about the same because it's highly regulated, and that's a good thing because it protects the senior, protects the client. But on the other side, the only difference between most mortgage companies or that do reverse mortgages you're going to find is the length of years they've been into it, the expertise, and that kind of thing. But one thing to remember too, and I don't think you mentioned this, but a lot of people think or say, I don't want to sell my house. Well, that's you may have touched on that, but one of the most important guarantees that comes with the reverse mortgage is the deed always remains in your name. You want to be careful. If anyone, there's a program a number of years ago, and it was under the reverse mortgage umbrella, if you want to call it that, but it was more of an equity sharing thing. And what people were doing is they would come in and they would go on title with you, and they'd basically share the equity, and they'd give you a monthly payment. Well, that's not what we're talking about, because those are not guaranteed. What would happen in those situations sometimes is the people would sometimes live a little longer than the investor expected them to, and at that point, since they were on title, they could kick them out of the house. Now, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is commonly referred to as the HECM, or the Home Equity Conversion Mortgage, and that's the one that's guaranteed by FHA, and that's the only one that we deal with are those that are guaranteed. Because for Jerry and I, the last thing that we want is to have people that are going to lose their house or not have the comfort of being able to stay in their home.
Absolutely. And, I think that one of the things we got to just remember is, being that we're talking about some of the upsides and downsides, I think one of